Now, Judah, as I was saying, we were forewarned by Yeshua. The first thing that he said was, be careful that you be not deceived. And what is happening? Again, tokenism from these heathens. And some of these heathens are not all pale skinned, just to make sure that we're clear here. When you look at Sheila Jackson Lee, Kamala Harris, those are I believe they're Edomites. Darker complexion Edomites. But they have the same seed in them, the same conniving wickedness in them. And just like Joe Biden, they have never had the people of Judah, Israel, the people of Elohim's best interest in mind. And now they come up with this tokenism, an insult again to our people, by trying to give us some illusion that they really do care and that we matter. And you think about this. This is, guys, if I haven't said enough to you already to persuade you to denounce that foolishness. And what I mean by denounce that foolishness, don't get taken in by it. Because Kamala Harris was as wicked as Joe Biden has been in mass incarcerating our people. Don't forget, she was as the Attorney General of California when many of our brothers and sisters in California had served their time, justly or unjustly, based off of what they were accused of doing. In other words, when I say justly or unjust, whether guilty or not guilty, let me say it that way. She insisted that they stayed in jail. You know why? Because they needed prison labor, i.e., the exact same reason why the 13th Amendment was written in such a way as it was written. Except for those who in a committance of crime, you will continue your enslavement. And what we're going to do is we're going to set all kind of traps. In her case, truancy was one of the many things she used. Truancy. So you sisters out here, the same woman who's pushing Juneteenth out here, that some of you are getting beguiled again, deceived again. It's the same woman who was locking your sisters up in California because your sisters' children was what we call shooting hooky from school, not going to school. Although many of these women thought their kids had gone to school. And I know some of you might say, oh, you see, but that's what. No. Let's not go there. Can we just talk? Brother Malcolm used to say, let's have a off-the-cuff meeting. Off-the-cuff meaning this is between you and me. This is not for them. Can we have a off-the-cuff meeting, conversation? How many of you never skip class? How many of you have never skipped class from the time you were in grade school to the time you graduated high school? You never skipped class. I bet most of you say, yeah, I skipped class. So would it have been just for your mother to have gone to jail because you skipped class? I'm just asking, would it have been just for your mom to have gone to jail, put in prison, or threatened to be thrown in prison because you skipped class? Well, that's exactly what Kamala Harris did. The also co-sponsor, I guess, of this bill, one of the co-sponsors of this so-called Juneteenth bill. But again, she was one of the same people when she was interviewed on the Breakfast Club, and they asked her about reparation for our people. And she laughed, I'm not going to do anything for just black people. Remember that? I'm not going to do anything for just black people. So you really think now she's going to start doing something for just black people? Of course not. That is why they made it a national holiday. Again, it has never been to promote their wrong. Never have been. This nation to this moment has not apologized for their wicked ancestors' behavior. All of this, guys, again, is just it's deception on a massive scale to, again, pacify you. Because this comes right on top of the whole thing with Black Wall Street. Joe Biden, week before last, he's down in Oklahoma doing this little devil dance, devil spiel about the wrong of the massacre of all the innocent blacks in Greenwood, Oklahoma. Then what, a week and a half later, 2 weeks later, he comes back with what? Juneteenth. Again, tokenism. The attitude, the arrogance that they have. That, you know what? If you arrogant bastards don't accept what we tell you to accept, you get nothing. That's their mentality. Sheila Jackson Lee, she's not a American descendant of slaves. Sheila Jackson Lee's parents are from, I want to say, the Caribbean islands, and I'm almost certain it's Jamaica. Just like Kamala Harris' father is Jamaican. And this is not against, our Jamaican brothers and sisters. I'm just telling you, these people's struggle was not our struggle. Our struggle was not their struggle. So all three of them, Biden, Harris, Lee, none of them ancestors had to bleed blood on this soil in this country. And then now they have the audacity to tell us what holiday that they're going to approve without any kind of consideration of the hurt that reliving that experience could have for any of our people over and over again. They're going to make sure their little devilish children know all of that little wickedness. And when them little devilish children look at our innocent children, because our people have never have done such viciousness to anyone. Ever. That's not our nature. It's not the history of the people of Elohim. Our Yah tell us to do what we need to do to try to get along with everybody. But he also tells us, again, defend yourself at all costs. Their experience is not our experience. And the arrogance, the audacity, sisters and brothers, to tell us what's going to be a holiday for us. Now you think about that. Do you think that any of us can say, you know what? We think that you guys need to have a Benjamin Franklin Day. Better yet, maybe you ought to have an Andrew Jackson Day. Make it a national holiday. We feel like, that ought to make you feel a little bit better. They would laugh us. Please. They would look at you. And like I always say about my little daughter, when she doesn't want to be bothered, she looks the other way. That's the way they would treat you. They would say, if you don't get away from me with your ignorant thought processes and your unlearned, idiotic foolishness, buffoonery, get out of here with that foolishness. Who do you think you are? But yet, we let them pronounce these type of, again, heart-wrenching. Because let me tell you something else about Juneteenth. Those people, and I mentioned it in the prior message, part 1. Those people, it was kept from them by hook or crook that they had been liberated. But the heathen's going to look at that and say, you mean to tell me 4 years had passed and they were so ignorant that, again, they had no idea about it? And again, I just bring these things forward because I want to emphasize it, hoping and praying, sisters and brothers, that it paint the right picture for you. That you would understand that these people are our perpetual enemies. These people will befriend any other nation on this planet except for us. It's just not in them. It's like a dog and a cat. They're just not going to get along. Well, maybe a dog and a cat might make it. Just think of two vicious animals who are, I guess, a hyena and a lion coexisting together. It's just not going to happen. So I'll say to you again, if they wanted to do something for us, my brothers and sisters, they would have done that with reparations a long time ago. They've had so many opportunities to do it. When it was brought up to Biden, well, I can study it, but we got to do it for everybody. When it was brought up to Harris, I'm not going to do anything for no black people. And Sheila Jackson Lee, well, we can do HR 40, but we need to study it. Studying, that's good enough. Because after all, it wasn't my ancestors who were chained, whipped, beat, raped, sold, murdered, humiliated, and probably some other atrocities that we would medically experimented on. After all, it wasn't my ancestors that it happened to in America. But yet, somehow or another, in their arrogance and total disrespect to us and our people, they felt that they could write a legislative bill, the same ones, at least two of the three, that have been so venomous towards us. And what are they going to do now? Dupe us again, at least attempt to dupe us again by saying, see, we're on your side. We were down there. We talked about, the anniversary of Black Wall Street. Didn't do nothing to correct it. Didn't refinance those people. They damn sure didn't want to give anything to their ancestors, i.e. us. Then on top of that, they want to come back now. Well, let's do Juneteenth. Whatever the hell Juneteenth means. Well, we know it was supposed to be June 19th was the so-called Liberation Day, not September 22nd, which is really the day of the emancipation, September 22nd. Neither one of them should have been celebrated, because there's nothing to celebrate about being vicious and hateful and murderous to people who did no harm to them at all. And then now want to illuminate it so that we can relive it and remember it while they sit back and enjoy their days off with pay, they have their long weekends of leisure, when they don't give a damn about June 19th or September 22nd or anything else that has ever happened to our people. And they sure as hell have no intention to restore and back to us all the things that they took. But I'm going to bring this message to a close. And I'm going to say something to you guys, my sisters and my brothers. Remember something. See, when we finally came together as a people, and we cried out, Elohim heard our cry, talking about the first enslavement of our people by the Canaanites, the Africans. And when Yah heard our cry, he sent forth Moses and Aaron. Leaders, ministers, passionate men. And they went up against Pharaoh and his whole wicked army. And Yah brought all kind of plagues and diseases on their asses. He brought debt on their asses. Because we as a people cried out with one voice and started to resist, even if it meant unto death. Our women said, you're not going to kill our sons. Because they were trying to kill your children, sisters, just so you know. This is not a new thing, encouraging you to go to these abortion clinics. That's not a new thing. It's an old thing happening again. But see the difference between some of you and your ancestor mothers? They said, hell no, we're not killing our children. They hid their children. They came up with all kinds of schemes to cover their children, to make sure that when the murderers came, the so-called midwives came to kill their children, those babies were already born. But in addition to that, they fought back as a people, and they cried out as a people. They resisted unto death as a people. And Yah heard them. He'll do it again for us today. Yeah, I know we're at the end of this thing. Many of us are going to not make it through that tribulation. Many of us not going to make it. But that doesn't matter. That shouldn't bother you. It doesn't bother me. I already know what's on the other side for me. You should already know too. Life everlasting. But just remember this also. You see, when we stood together and we understood the enemy and the enemy's plots and plans and decided not to participate, not to acknowledge, not to brag or boast about it, but to be honest and call out their wickedness, their cunningness, their deception, like I'm doing, many of you hopefully will do. When you hear your friends talking about what a great thing about Juneteenth, break it down for them. Break it down, just like you've heard me break it down. Then let them decide for themselves if this is something they should feel honored to participate in, or is this another insult to already very injured people. But remember this also. Our books say the wealth of the wicked is stored up for the just. Let me say that again. The wealth of the wicked of this world is stored up for the just. You see, when the true Jubilee comes, y'all going to strip them of everything that they have. He's going to force them to give it up. And we will get restored. If not here, in the world to come. Who's to say? Who is to say? But I do know this. If we participate in their lives and we let the enemy continue to dictate to us what's good for us, then we are voting for them over Elohim. And my brothers and sisters, that's a death sentence. DFG, talk to you later. No Juneteenth for us. Bye now.